install. It is down below there behind all that. So let's get started. First you need to, well, I like to be safe and disconnect the negative battery terminal. Okay, now that you've done that, push that out of the way. And next you're going to want to do, I'm going to loosen up this fastener right here for the engine hoist. So you get your 10mm socket on there, loosen that up. Okay, once you get that off, take that out. Alright, so alright, take this fastener off right here. Alright, take that fastener out. Same thing, 10mm, I think. Yeah, 10. Okay, next you want to take this off right here. There's a bolt right behind there. That's holding on that clamp to that hose, the overflow hose to the engine coolant. So you want to get that off. Okay. Alright, the manual wants you to take this off, but I'm just going to leave it on there because I don't feel like having draining the coolant. You can just set it aside and it'll be all right. Okay, take the dipstick out and set it aside. And then you're able to pull off the cover to the exhaust manifold. And there'll be a little clearance issue down here, so just pull it off. Watch out for this accelerator. Watch out for the accelerator cable. Just I think the manual wants you to take it off too, but I was able to do this without that. So here's your engine cover. It's just a metal cover. So there is your exhaust manifold, and this particular manifold has a big old hole in it right here. If I can zoom in, yeah, a big old hole right there. Thank goodness it's not here. Or here, if it's not here, there, it's right in the middle, so that's okay. But there's a big old crack right here too. But you can't really see it in the camera. Yeah, see a little crack. A little crack down there, and then that hole right there. Alright, now that you're to this point, you're going to want to, there's a little O2 sensor right here. Try to get that in view. Little O2 sensor that's going back in there, and you're going to want to disconnect that so you don't put it in a bind. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, with this O2 sensor, you get a little flathead or screwdriver, and you're going to push on this and then pull out. Okay, like I said, you push this down and then it pulls right out. So push down and then pull out. Oh. Okay, here's the O2 sensor. You just unplug it right here. It just snaps out. It snaps out. Yeah, there you go. So that's free and good. Okay, the engine oil dipstick right here, it's a pain in the butt to put back in, so I'm going to try and keep it on here as I take off the exhaust manifold. Now, as you can see, turn this around, there are a bunch of fasteners. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably a few more, 9, 10 that I'm going to take off, so I'm going to do that right now. Okay, 13mm. Just get a 13mm on there and always tap it over these bolts down here. There's 1, 2, there's a bunch of them, but loosen them up, loosen them all up. If it's really hard to get off, just go like that. These aren't on there too bad. If they're rusted, use some penetrating spray, PB Blaster or some kind of penetrating spray. Spray it, leave it for a few moments, and then just go at it. Okay, right here, since I still have the oil dipstick still down in here in the way, that fastener right there, I had to put a 13mm wrench on it, and then I was able to turn it. it turned a little bit, so it's loosening that one off. So we're getting there. Now, as you can see, when I turn this fastener, the bolt, the thread and bolt, the whole thing turns. That's okay. The whole thing can come out. That's fine. That's just fine. Don't worry about that. See how both of it, both the fastener and like the nut and the fastener and the bolt are both trying to come out at the same time. That's okay. That's okay. The whole thing can come out and the whole thing can go back in. I mean, if you're doing it professionally, you're going to want to make sure you you know, put new ones in, put new fasteners in and new bolts in. But for this purposes, if you're trying to save money, let me get that out of the camera. There we go. If you're trying to save money, then it's okay. The whole thing can come out at the same time. It's fine. Now, no matter what you do not try to pee in this hole, because that'll be bad. And I know you might want to, but don't try to pee in it, alright? Okay, I thought this was rather interesting. There's one in the corner. Let me zoom out here. There's one in the corner back there. The only way to access it without removing the engine mount over here is to use a 5mm socket. So this is a 1/4 drive, and to put it on the end of one of these, that's what fits on there, and then turn. It's right on the end. Let me zoom in. See how, let's do that one. See that one? That was kind of hard to reach. But this right here, it fits it. So I'm gonna use that. It's starting to rain. I'm gonna have to do this another day. Oh. Okay, see, this is a 5mm, and I'm gonna put it on the end here because the whole thing's coming off anyway. Get that on there, and you can see it turning. So that's one way. If you can't reach, if it's hard to access with the long, deep socket, then use that, especially for the one clear. There's one clear back there. Now you can remove that bracket. Well, you remove the engine mount, and then that bracket right there underneath it. And also you can drain the cooling system and take out all these hoses, but I'm gonna try to do it without it. I've done it before without it. I'm not sure about the bracket, but and see, you can just unscrew the whole thing off. And that's what that looks like. Don't worry about this being stuck. It'll just go back on there just the way it was. And that's what that looks like. So, a few more to go. Here's a good angle. Let's see where they're all at. Oh, just that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. There you go, in a little pattern. And there's one clear back there. I already removed that one. Just placed it up here. I got tired of this being out of the way. You just kind of pull it out, and it just slides into a tube down there. So I just set that aside. It's way down there into the depths, into the dark depths of the black hole. The exhaust. Here we go. We're going to continue. Okay, now that I've got all those removed, now it's time to remove these bolts right here. That one, that one, that one, and that one. This one would probably be hard to reach normally. I bet it's usually a hole right here, but then the heat's cracked a little bit. But anyway, now I'm going to remove those from the rest of the exhaust system. And there'll be a gasket down there, and there's a gasket behind here. That'll need to be replaced once removed. Okay, you'll need an extension to reach those. So I'm going to take that off. Oh, wrong one. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, I need an extension for this, so I'll take that off to reach them. I'll need this extension. So, there we go. Now, get down in there. Oh. Alright, let's do it. Okay, and of course it has to be a different size. This is 15 millimeter. 15 millimeter deep socket will get those bolts off. So I'm going to have to hold the camera with my neck, because there's no good place to hold the camera on here. Okay, I pulled that out. I went, turned it, and there's that bolt. There's 1, 2, 3 more. I'm going to take those out now. And you want to clean these threads off with a wire brush. Okay, now it's loose now, and you can see the gasket material as I move this. You see a gasket material behind there. And we'll take this out now. Okay, before we can pull it out, there's a EGR valve back here we gotta disconnect. Let me show you. Now it's this, I believe it's the EGR valve. Okay, there's the EGR valve. Right here it goes down. You need to disconnect it. So get a wrench ready to disconnect it. You might want to take the resonator off too, but then you have to unscrew those clamps. We're going to try to do as the minimalist, least amount of stuff we can do. Get you a wrench. It's about, it's either 19 or 20 millimeter. This is a 7/8 inch. Put it on the EGR valve or whatever the heck it is, and then loosen it. Pull this way. All right, just want to get this off the exhaust valve. You want to do this before you get that bolt, all those 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 or 10 bolts off. You just want to get this off here so you can actually pull the exhaust manifold out, and then the exhaust the exhaust manifold and the exhaust manifold gaskets. Get them out of there too. This is the pain in the butt, because look at the, if you take off the resonator, if you take the resonator off, you can have more clearance, but you'll have that. I want to get a good view here as I'm doing this, because this footage is hard to get, and it's important to show what all you got to go through to get these parts off. These engineers, they don't care about people that fix it. They really don't. They're just there to make their paycheck. And it's a whole business, and we've lost sight. This is how we have to, mechanics, do-it-yourselfers have to do to get things done. We can do it. We can. Okay, all that rust right there is the threads. It just pulls out. So that's how that works. It just goes in and out. You just kind of have to pull it out like that, and there. See how it works? That goes in there, and behind there we'll find the PCV. So I'm trying to do with that on there. We'll try to take this off. Let me get this gasket. Man. Here's the bottom gasket. Last time I took this off, this is a newer one, and you can see how it's already experienced some fatigue. I'm going to put it back on there because I'm not paying more. I'm just doing this to show you guys. But you guys, if you're really doing it for real, need to put a new gasket back on there. That's the bottom part. That goes down to the exhaust pipes and everything. And there's also a gasket back behind here. Okay, I'm pulling out the top gasket right now. That's what it looks like. Just a gasket mating surface. It's metal. It's about three or four pieces of metal sandwiched together. just sandwiched together. The old, I could tell that, I know that because the old one I took off, it's separated into three different metal pieces. It's funny, but to set that aside, and I'm trying not to take this O2 sensor off, because if you ever take an O2 sensor off, they're a pain in the butt to get off, and you can damage them. I'll have to see if I have to remove this mount, but I'm still going to try. Okay, to get more clearance for the exhaust manifold, I'm going to remove this bolt, and then this screw, this big screw, and then work from there. So I'm just going to get that. Okay, I started to take off this, but I was just wiggling this. I pulled it, and I pulled it forward, and I was able to just pull it out of there. And there's an O2 sensor I got to watch, and just kind of maneuver it to where I can get it out without damaging that O2 sensor. And then the wire that wants to be stuck, there we go. So there's your exhaust manifold in all its glory. Let me get it in the camera. There's the O2 sensor. You can remove this to make your job a lot easier. You can see all the holes where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, where all the bolts mounted onto there. And then down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one in particular, I think there's naturally a hole there, but it's cracked a little bit here, and there's a crack right there visibly. And then the bottom side of this just looks like this. It goes to the exhaust. So you're going to want to clean off this surface right here, all the gasket surfaces. Clean off the gasket, scrape it or whatever, scrape off all the old gasket. And then the same thing down there. Scrape off all the old gasket material. And then here, that's how you remove the exhaust manifold. And here, and it's all in all its glory, there is the positive crankcase ventilation valve right there. It's that little shiny thing. That's it. That's all the glory. And that thing is... Okay. Now we can just see what all this looks like. That it goes down to your exhaust. So if you get that gasket, clean off that surface with a wire brush. And then you have that surface. Scrape that off. All the old gasket material. Use a wire brush, a scraper. There's a wire brush, and use your wire brush and clean off all the bolts, the exhaust manifold bolts, which is right there. And then that bolts, the exhaust manifold to exhaust bolts. Looks like some kind of looks like the anyway. So do all that, and that's how you remove the exhaust manifold. And down here is the PCV valve, and you're going to want to, that shiny part right there, that's the actual PCV valve, positive crankcase ventilation valve. You're going to get that out by, there's a rubber sleeve there, removing that. So that's really fun, and I got a video on that. Check it out. The link is in the description. This video is just part 2. Part 2 is showing you just how to get to it, how to remove, how to get to it. So how to access the PCV valve on a 1997 Ford Contour Mercury Mystique. There it is. Now when you take that off, it's going to be really hard to put back on. I'm just telling you right now. But that's it. That is it. It is inside that tube, and that tube goes underneath your left side of the engine. Remember, when you're sitting in the driver's seat facing out, that's the left side, that's the right side. So there it is in all its glory, underneath all this junk, underneath the exhaust manifold, and then underneath the heat shield. There's the gasket, the 2 gaskets that you need to replace, and then the heat shield, and then the engine mount, oil dipstick, and then a couple mounts. But the manual and the long way to do it is to drain the cooling system and to take off that pipe right there to get it out of the way. And they'll probably tell you to take off the O2 sensor all the way too, maybe. And then take the resonator off, which you have to take off this with a flathead, these little whatever, take those off, and then that whole air thing pulls up and out of the way. And then they'll probably tell you to take this engine mount off. Once you take the engine, you have to put a jack underneath the engine to hold it up with a block of wood on top if you want to take the mount off. And then you take that mount off, and then this little holder right here, this connector, that black metal piece that goes from the engine mount to the engine, probably take that off too. Do all that stuff. But what I showed you is the quick way to access it. You've seen me maneuver that out, and I'll be able to maneuver it back in. It's really difficult because you got to have the gasket on there at the same time, but I'm going to do it.